Hello, peeps. Guardian of Stories here, and yeah, this is Guardian of Stories. This is a catch-up video. I've had to record this twice now because freaking annoyances. I meant to put this out quite a while ago. This is a catch-up video for my D&D campaign. I won't. I'm covering the first 6 sessions because by the time I did the very first, I was also working on the very first episode 1, which is only recording of session 7, because that's when I had permission from my DM and all the players involved. Now, my character, as you can see here, so I'm covering sessions 1 through 6 as a bit of a catch up, so as to give a little bit more context for the story going forward, before episode 1 is finished editing and is posted. Now, as you can see, my character, his name is Jace Ravner. He is a variant human. He's an Eldritch Knight fighter. He's level 4, though we started at level 3. Now, Now, the rest of my party, they are the rest of my party is made up of a human bard, played by my friend Keem. He's one of the party members. Now, he is a College of Spirits bard. Following him is Misha Rimfang, played by the player Nestus, or Dusk. I call her Nestus because that's what she was in the previous campaign. She is a shifter, that's her race, and plays a barbarian fighter multiclass. I don't remember what her subclasses are, or if she has any yet. She might just be doing an even split 2 and 2. Nephrim, played by my friend Mal. He is an Earth Genasi sorcerer warlock, shadow magic sorcerer, and undead patron warlock. The last player, Nerva Star, played by Pixel. She's playing an Earth Genasi death domain cleric who is the sister of Nephrim. A little bit of backstory for Jace. He has 3 brothers. 2 brothers. He's one of 3 triplet brothers. One of his brothers is named Dante. He's an arcane trickster. The other one is Cade, an abjuration wizard. All 3 brothers have a theme. All 3 of them are smart, but apply their magic, and their intelligence in different manners. All 3 are also played with a southern accent, just because I felt like doing so. Dante is more of a cowboy southern accent, whereas Dante is more of a gentleman thief southern accent, while Jace is more of a cowboy southern accent. They all grew up together in the city of Darvingard. In this continent, the world they're in has 3 different continents. The one they're on is called Listernia. The southern third of the continent used to be a country called Palmorian. Now, this area, while still technically a country, there's no central government. It's a bunch of different city-states, kind of like ancient Greece. They grew up in the city of Darvingard. Juvenile delinquents, parents died, so the 3 of them were orphans, got taken in by the city, and eventually did their own, essentially probation. Afterwards, Jace stayed in the city when he reached 18, became one of the guards. Dante and Cade left Darvingard to go to different places. Dante went to the city of Red Harbor, which is a known maritime port, very famous, very rich and thriving, but also lots of corruption, lots of thievery, lots of smuggling. Cade went to the most well-known magical college in the land, in this point, Nightingale Academy. Jace, after a few years as a guard, leaves Darvingard to try and hitch a ride along the west coast to Red Harbor, because Red Harbor is in the northwestern section of the continent. He goes west and ends up in the city of Vesperfall, where he meets the rest of the party. The party doesn't have a name currently. At Vesperfall, there's a festival of Falling Stars. It's a time where the veil between worlds is much thinner, so souls sometimes show up. Magic is much more powerful, especially wild magic and divination magic. Jace, he's a guard for one of the festivals. This festival is akin to like Dia de los Muertos, for those of my viewers or subscribers who know what that is. He, Man, and Misha are guards. Nephrim and Nerva are part of a traveling carnival troupe, essentially, who are acting as entertainers. During the festival, a group of cultists and brigands who hired by the cultists attack the festival to basically run amok and kill people. A few casualties take place. Party fights back, gets rid of the cultists and the brigands, and chases them back to their lair, a cavern underneath a waterfall, behind a waterfall, really. It's inside a cliff beneath, behind a waterfall, and be led by a seer, a mage, because the festival had a lot of not a mage, had a lot of seers and oracles who practiced divination magic. This particular seer who was in this cave had been banished the previous year because he had started going insane, talking about not forgetting things and trying to and remembering what's been forgotten, and never forget. He had this plastered all over the walls of the cave and even on his own body. Party fights him and his little group. They defeat them, kill them, and they look at everything that's happened, do a little bit of investigating because a ritual was taking place that involved souls. The souls he was collecting seemingly were freed. We don't know what happened to them. We go back to the Vesper Falls City guards, explain what happened, and because we essentially we saved everybody else. This was considered a essentially minor issue, a minor intrusion, as the festival grounds were pretty quickly repaired within like an hour, and there were only like five casualties out of a festival of like 1,000. So we did pretty good. Um, what ends up happening though is this: after the festival takes place, one of the guard captain comes up to us and tells us, "Hey, one of the Vesper Falls' more affluent members liked what it was impressed by the fact that you dealt with this issue so easily and so quickly. And as a show of thanks for our city's biggest festival, they are paying for a night for you guys to stay at one of the fanciest inns in the city, called the Knights Regent." The party goes there, gets some food, gets some drinks. Jace writes a letter detailing the events of what happened to his brother Cade, because he's only in contact with Cade at the moment. He hasn't spoken to Dante through letter in like 4 years since Dante first wrote back that he was in Red Harbor. All three brothers are 23 at this currently in the story, currently in the campaign. During the night, someone breaks into their rooms, steals anything regarding it has anything to do with the events of the previous night, of the attack on the festival, and alters their memories to remove details. So the characters know something happened in the night. They know an attack happened, but they can't recall anything specific. Only Nerva and Merrick didn't have this happen. Nerva, because essentially the thief was too busy dealing with Nephrim, and they forgot to mess with Nerva. They do, and so but when they go to Merrick, Merrick wakes up. They jump out the window and cast silence on Merrick in his room, so he can't cast magic to stop them from escaping, and so he can't warn anybody in time. So by the time he wakes everybody up and tells us what's happened, the sneak the sneak thief is long gone, and Jace's letter is stolen. He doesn't even remember writing it. Nephrim, while he's listening to Merrick try and explain things, goes into his room, contacts his patron, who is undead. I assume a lich. We don't. Obviously, my character doesn't know this though. Who informs Nephrim that yes, your memory was indeed altered. So we go back to the festival grounds. We go back to the cave where the waterfall was. Find out, the cave is gone. It's been sealed up with rock. See, not from like a rock fall or from a cave collapse, but almost as if the rock has grown to encapsulate the entire inside of the cave. Jace does a quick arcana check and theorizes someone used like mold earth a few times to seal up the cave so that nobody could investigate further. A woman then appears to us, seemingly the same one that Merrick remembered, who explains, you guys are involved with something you don't want to be involved. It's bigger than you. We are more cow. You don't want to mess with us. Back off, leave, forget this ever happened, or else. And then leaves. So we were just lightly threatened. We go up to the festival grounds and find out it's all gone. The troop's got Nerva and Nephrim's troop is gone. Seemingly no. And when we go to the Vesper Fall, no one remembers us that well. All they remember is that we were there. Nothing else. Seemingly, a lot of people's memories were altered. We go to the guard captain and explain this. He points us in the direction of a ranger who came from Red Harbor to Vesperfall investigating similar issues. The party goes to the ranger. The ranger explains that these instances all seem to connect to a specific group who seems to have ties the with the continent of Listernia's, um, essentially the continent's biggest smuggler, a man known as the Crimson Broker, who operates out of Red Harbor. She accepts the party into the fold reluctantly because we are amateurs, we're level 3, and sends us and tells us to take a boat to Red Harbor and meet the guard captain, who is her contact and who sent her on the mission to investigate these things out and about outside Red Harbor. A captain, a captain whose name will be revealed in episode 1, which is covering session 7. This catch up video is obviously 1 through 6. So the party, we then get some supplies and leave Vesperfall to go to the port city of Oaken Harbor in the south, just south of it, about 5 days south. While going through there, we pass through a little marshland area, and while we're there, we pass a dwarven merchant who we buy some of his wares, but otherwise nothing eventful until like 2 days before we get to Oaken Harbor, where we pass by a particularly bad section of swampland, the territory of an Anishag, as we find out. We get into a fight with the Anishag. Misha, um, while rolling the best initiative, doesn't deal well with the fight. She has very bad rolls. The rest of us all have pretty good rolls. Jason, in particular, manages to get some pretty good damage with his spells, especially Burning Hands. And of course, our spellcasters just deal great damage on the Anishag. Though Nerva, however, is injured heavily because the Anishag focused her down pretty badly. But we deal with the hag and kill her. We then leave the swamp. However, we also notice that something from the swamp is seemingly watching us as we leave. No idea what though. Um, as we leave, after a while, we come across the next day. We come across a abandoned shrine to the goddess Seshla, goddess of chance and crossroads. She's basically goddess of chance, choices, and fate. Jace has a dagger from his time as a guard in Darvangard and leaves it behind, symbolizing he's choosing to leave behind his old life in order to um, start a new life with whatever fate is throwing his way. As such, as a symbol of, you've pleased me by making this choice, the goddess Seshla grants him a point of heroic inspiration. I say a point. You only get 1 point with D&D Beyond and 5e. Afterwards, we continue onwards and end up at Oaken Harbor, where we get a meal, eat, and then from there we find a Captain Thorn, who is captaining a caravel type of ship called, and specifically this ship is named the Wayward Star. Now, here's the particular thing about the Wayward Star: it's an older vessel. However, it has a good rate and lets us take Nephrim's donkey and the cart that he has with him. Now, we barter passage and we go up. We're going up the western coast, and we don't have all that many encounters really. It's about a week ish, 2, from Oaken Harbor to Red Harbor, and while there, we really only have about 3 encounters. While we're up there, we have some fog, where we end up dealing with some what are essentially sirens, right? And we manage to just ignore them and keep on sailing past, though one of the players almost jumps over the side. The next, about a few days later, as we're passing by the continent of Astia, which originally came from the Feywild, a particularly bored Fey decides to cast an illusion spell on the whole ship to make everybody think we're dealing with a kraken. We think we're fighting it, only to find out, okay, nothing is really happening. And so, well, as you can imagine, shenanigans happens, but we find out, okay, it's an illusion, and we hear the Fae laughing, and after some choice words is thrown at the Fae, we continue on sailing. But now, about a day before we reach Red Harbor, however, a pair of dinghies happens to row up along the ship after when we're trapped in another thing of fog. And they are trying to essentially burn the ship down. They attach some containers of fuel of combustible liquid with some to the ship's hull with tar, and they're trying to light it. We, however, hear them attach it to the ship because we hear some thunking on the hull, and what ends up happening is combat happens. We fight these guys off, knock them into the water, get rid of the combustible liquids, and continue sailing onwards. The captain is obviously none too pleased by this development, very much not liking the fact that, oh hey, um, you you know you almost got my ship destroyed. And so, sorry, my dog is being a pain in the butt right now. And so, yeah, that's what happens when you're trying to eat stuff. Legit. Sorry, he was trying to eat something. You done now? All right, good. Now, as I was saying, Captain Thorne not happy that we didn't tell her about this little issue that we were dealing with a guy named the Crimson Broker, and we were investigating him because of memory issues, because of him helping some, either being involved with or shipping a group that does memory alterations. Captain Thorne knows the Crimson Broker somehow. We're not certain why or how she is aware of him, though it's seemingly some kind of personal connection. Um, she does warn us that what we're doing is very stupid, but understands we will, essentially, this was forced upon us. We had no intention of dealing with him. We kind of got thrown into this beat because we just happened to be wrong place, wrong time. Now, the other thing here is that after talking to us, Captain Thorne, she is a human, and she had an older human in her early 50s, is what we guessed. She has an eye patch and a peg leg. Typical pirate, right? Um, she has been in the shipping business for a long time. It's a family business from her father and her grandfather. After everything happens, and tells us, after this, you're getting off my ship. Try not to tell anyone you came on my ship. I don't want any more issues. We agree. Tell her we're sorry for getting involved, not realizing they would come after her ship just because we're on it, and explain and say we'll be careful. Jace, my character Jace, notices that that seemingly the memory or the thought of the Crimson Broker brings a tear to her eye. Unknown why. Theory being that either she is related to the Crimson Broker, was a friend of his, or he had something to do with the death, disappearance, or something having to deal with someone she knows and cares about. And something else we find out is that out of character, these are things that are revealed to us out of character, to us as players, but obviously our characters will not know this. After the reason that the assassins came for us and to try to blow up the ship was that our characters, as we left Vesperfall and arrived at Oaken Harbor and got on the ship, divination magic was cast upon us to see where we were going, and thus the Crimson Broker was informed of what we were doing, and so he sent some of his men to deal with us. Those men that tried to blow up our ship, we didn't manage to kill. There was 4 of them. We got rid of 2 of them. The other 2 survived and swam to shore. At least one of them did. He reported back to the Crimson Broker, who was none too pleased they failed. He kills them and states, "Now I have to deal with them. So I guess I have to do this myself." And that is the end of the first 6 sessions of Shadows of Oblivion. The next episode that we put out after this one, will be episode 1, which covers the entirety of session 1. I'm still editing it, so it'll come out either later today or sometime tomorrow. Quick bit of stuff on Jace. He obviously is a level 4 fighter. These are all of his stats. He uses a greatsword primarily. His AC currently is 11. That's because I took his armor off for a stealth mission. He has the whole party was given 1 uncommon magic item. I chose Headband of Intellect because Eldritch Knight, intelligence is important. Normally he wears chainmail, and he has the defensive fighting style, so he usually have a 17 AC. The spells he has are Booming Blade and Mind Sliver. Mind Sliver normally really good, but because it's intelligence save, but unfortunately everyone's been saving against me. I have the spells Absorb Elements, Burning Hands, Magic Missile, and Shield. They're all very useful. Um, I also have chainmail. Great. I have a great sword, which as a DM rule, because it's very similar to how the hexblade works. He allowed me to have weapon bonds. The weapon bond on a weapon, I bond weapon, to act as a spellcasting focus. So I don't for a material component. So unless it requires a specific cost, other than the spell booming blade, which basically which is only just a weapon costing 1 silver piece, which is what a greatsword costs. It costs more than that. Um, Basically, my greatsword acts as a spellcasting focus for anything that doesn't require a monetary value component. He has 40 HP, and yeah, that is a quick overview of Jace. These are his skills, his passives, his saves. He has a +1 to initiative because he only has a 12 dex. These are his scores at the moment. Not very good strength. I plan to boost that and the wisdom up higher as well, and eventually get some magic items hopefully later on as we level up more. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. He is currently having a bit of a sort of back and forth with Nova. Possibly might end up shipping them or having the two characters in a relationship. Um, Myself and the Nova's player Pixel aren't certain on it yet. We're planning to just see where things take us in the story.